Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to meet the news on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anieti Patrick. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. President Bola Tinubu has assured Nigerians that the benefits of his renewed hope reforms will reach every state and community across the country. Speaking at the close of the second National Economic Council Conference in Abuja, Tinubu urged governors and key stakeholders to move beyond dialogue and deliver measurable gains in jobs, infrastructure, food security, physical discipline, and social protection. Represented by the Senate's President Godswill Akpabio, the President said reform is a continuous process requiring courage, coordination, and accountability, noting that stronger federal-state collaboration remains key to building a resilient and inclusive economy. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has appointed Ambassador Ismail Abba Yusuf as Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, pending Senate confirmation. The presidency says the appointment follows the resignation of the former chairman and aligns with efforts to strengthen transparency, accountability, and operational efficiency in Nigeria's Hajj management. Tinubu expressed confidence that the former ambassador to Turkey will leverage his diplomatic and administrative experience to reposition the commission and improve services for Nigerian pilgrims. The new Nigeria People's Party has rejected a bill before the United States Congress seeking sanctions against its national leader, Rabiu Kwankwaso, over alleged religious freedom violations. The party described the proposed legislation as politically motivated and misleading, insisting that Kwankwaso has consistently condemned insecurity and religious extremism during and after his tenure as Kano governor. If passed into law, the bill could impose visa bans and asset freezes on individuals and entities accused of severe religious persecution in Nigeria. To legislative matters, the National Assembly has raised fresh concerns over declining budgetary allocations to Nigeria's agricultural sector, warning that funding cuts could undermine food security and economic recovery. The alarm was sounded during a joint session of Senate and House Committees on Agricultural Production Services and Rural Development, where the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security defended its 2026 budget proposal. Our correspondent completes the story. Presenting the proposal, Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Aliyu Abdullahi, said government interventions are anchored on President Bola Tinubu's Food Security Emergency Declaration, with efforts focused on expanding production, strengthening value chains, and improving farmer resilience. However, he admitted that delayed capital releases under the 2025 budget have slowed program execution. About 30% of the ministry's capital allocation, roughly 18 billion naira, is yet to be released, limiting support for farmers nationwide.
If you ask me if we are satisfied with what we have, because it's a rollover, otherwise we have some very good projects we have started, which we would have loved to have funding for. And I believe the rollover is now a constraint for us because we will not be able to have additional funds for those.
Meanwhile, for 2026, the agricultural sector is projected to receive about 1 trillion naira, with 262 billion naira earmarked for capital expenditure within the ministry. Despite this, lawmakers expressed concern over what they describe as a sharp drop in overall allocation to the sector. Chairman of the House Committee on Agricultural Production, Bello Kaoje, noted that while total national expenditure is expected to rise to 58.47 trillion naira in 2026, agriculture's allocation declined from 2.22 trillion naira in 2025 to 1.45 trillion naira. Similarly, Senate Committee Chairman Senator Saliu Mustafa stressed that agriculture remains Nigeria's strongest pathway to poverty reduction and job creation, urging timely release of funds to stabilize the nation's food system.
I therefore recommend that the federal government should prioritize adequate budgetary allocation and prompt release of agricultural and sector funds, alongside strengthening implementation mechanism.
Lawmakers say the 2026 budget must be evidence-based, performance-driven, and aligned with national priorities to ensure improved food supply, farmer livelihoods, and sustainable economic growth. The Senate has expressed fresh concern over the persistent wave of terrorist attacks across the country, describing the nation's security situation as troubling. The alarm was raised during the 2026 Budget Defense and 2025 Performance Review of the Ministry of Defense. National Assembly correspondent completes the story. Lawmakers at the National Assembly pressed the Ministry of Defense for answers as insecurity continues to challenge several parts of the country. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Defense, Ahmed Lawan, said the budget defense was taking place at a difficult moment for Nigerians grappling with renewed attacks and loss of lives. The former president of the Senate described the security situation as worrisome and stressed the need for intensified efforts to curb terrorism and restore public confidence.
Our reality in the last 50 years has been that of battling terrorists and insurgents that have succeeded in carrying out kidnappings, mass abductions of communities and students, massacres, arson, and so on and so forth.
Responding, the Minister of Defense, Major General Christopher Musa, retired, acknowledged the ongoing security threats but assured the committee that military operations across the country remain active and strategic. He told lawmakers that troops are recording gains in various theaters of operation and reaffirmed the armed forces' commitment to defending Nigeria's territorial integrity and safeguarding citizens. From the public session, the committee moved into a closed-door meeting to deliberate on sensitive operational matters, project implementation, and budgetary details presented by the ministry. The outcome of the deliberations is expected to shape defense funding priorities for the 2026 fiscal year. From the National Assembly, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has dismissed reports that the federal government ordered it to suspend enforcement of the sachet alcohol ban. The agency described the claims circulating on social media as false and misleading, stressing that it has received no directive to halt its crackdown on alcohol packaged in sachet and small PET bottles. NAFDAC reaffirmed its commitment to protecting public health and said any major regulatory decision would be communicated formally through official government channels. The Federal High Court in Lagos has sentenced 2 Chinese nationals to 46 years imprisonment, each after convicting them on charges of cybercrime and money laundering. The defendants were among hundreds arrested in a large-scale economic and financial crimes commission operation targeting cryptocurrency and romance scam networks operating from a building in Victoria Island. After changing their pleas to guilty, the court handed down the sentence in what authorities describe as one of the most significant convictions arising from the anti-fraud crackdown. The federal government has called on traditional and religious leaders across Nigeria to play a critical role in improving healthcare delivery nationwide. The Coordinating Minister, Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, made the call during a press briefing ahead of the National Traditional and Religious Leaders Summit on Health 2026 in Abuja. Zarau Nasir completes the report.
The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Fateh, says traditional and religious leaders are key influences in their communities, especially when it comes to maternal and child health. He explained that the summit aims to sensitize Nigerians and strengthen collaboration with community gatekeepers.
Traditional and religious leaders are so vital in our country that we also have to engage them as a group for the roles that they have played in immunization, in maternal and child health and other areas, TB, HIV, but they can also do more. But they also will be able to bring the perspectives of their citizens, of the people in the areas where they are, so that they can further help us refine our ideas.
Professor Fati added that the summit will also feature discussions on a policy dialogue on Nigeria and the United States memorandum supporting national response to HIV, tuberculosis and malaria.
We will use the opportunity also to have a structured dialogue on the Nigeria-US MOU for supporting HIV, TB and malaria. So the briefing, of course, is to share with you some of what we will also share, whether it's on the Health Fellows Program or on the US-Nigeria MOU.
The ministry says engaging these influential community figures is a strategic move to bring healthcare closer to the people and ensure more effective health interventions nationwide. Zahra Unasir, reporting for Global TV.
Governor Hyacinth Alia has condemned the killing of 22 persons, including a police officer, in renewed attacks on Awase and Abade communities in Kwande local government area of Benue State. The governor, who led heads of security agencies on an on-the-spot assessment of the affected areas, has pledged improved security deployment and infrastructure to curb further violence. Felicity Ndere tells us more.
These are some of the deserted communities in Kwande local government area following the recent attacks by unknown gunmen suspected to be armed Fulani herders.
What you are seeing now is the resurfacing of the attacks, and this is why I have to be here myself to encourage the people to strengthen them.
Governor Hyacinth Alia, while condemning the attacks, described them as unprovoked and unacceptable, and assured residents of strengthened collaboration with security agencies and the provision of necessary logistics to restore peace in the affected communities.
Road work from Jatoka, Ngihimba, Tomotan, and 2 other settlements by the road before Awase are treated. So we'll take care of that, and there's no network here. Again, it's one immediate work I need to be on top of to ensure that they have very good network.
The Deputy Commissioner of Police Operations, Benue State Command, said communities in Benue State have endured years of repeated attacks by armed men, resulting in numerous deaths and the displacement of thousands.
The community made mention that at the Cameroon boundary, very close to Jukun area of Taraba, there is an exit and the entry point of these armed herders. So if we can deploy the military to secure those areas, I think they will not be able to penetrate this axis.
Residents and local authorities have called for increased security presence to prevent further attacks.
We can't have bandits in the forest who will come out, kill people at will, freely, and then go back and live in those forests and then nothing is happening. So I also urge the federal government to liaise with the state government so that we can bring succor to these people.
So the in-law now sent a message that they should tell his in-law to do away with his sister, because there will be a serious attack to Abande. So we now prepare that, let them come. But on the market day, everybody was not stable, so we all went to the market, and they now came.
Why I say so is that anytime we are to experience an attack, the security here will have one excuse or the other that will make them not to be present, and immediately they are absent, they will experience an attack.
Benue State, known as the food basket of the nation, plays a critical role in Nigeria's food security framework. Residents fear that continued attacks could disrupt farming activities, drive up food prices, and threaten the safety in their ancestral homes. In Kwande, Felicity Ndere reporting for Global Television News.
You're watching the live broadcast of Meet the News. The Meet the News continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
You're welcome. We're expecting a noticeable rise in daytime temperatures across the country, bringing generally warmer conditions, particularly over the northern region. As this heat builds, it's likely to trigger more active weather, with storm development expected over parts of the southern cities. Moving into Thursday morning, thunderstorms are anticipated over parts of Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Delta, some parts of Rivers, Ondo, Lagos, Ogun, and Imo states. As we head into the afternoon and evening hours, storm activities is expected to intensify to affect most areas across the southeast, extending into Ondo, Osun, some parts of Ekiti, Ogun, Lagos, Edo Delta, and the coastal belt. There are also chances of thunderstorms over parts of Kogi, Nasarawa, Benue, the Federal Capital Territory, some parts of Kwara, and the Mambila Plateau in Taraba State. Residents in affected areas are advised to stay weather aware and be safe. Thank you for watching.
It's good to have you back on Mididay News. In business, the latest monthly reports on the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, says Nigeria has retained its position as Africa's largest crude oil producers, with output of 1.45 million barrels per day. Although production fell short of the country's 1.5 million barrels per day quota, the figure kept Nigeria ahead of Libya and other continental producers. OPEC said the data were obtained through direct communication with Nigerian authorities and secondary sources, highlighting ongoing efforts to stabilize outputs despite operational and security challenges. Nigeria recorded about $21 billion in capital importation in the first 10 months of 2025, representing 75% increase compared to the previous year. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investments Jumoke Oduwole told lawmakers the surge followed over 100 bilateral investment engagements with partners including United Kingdom, United States, UAE, Brazil and Japan. Oduwole also stated that the United Kingdom accounted for the largest share of inflows, while Nigeria also recorded a trade surplus and double-digit export growth during the period. And on the foreign scene, Bangladesh is holding its first general election since mass student-led protests in 2024 ended Sheikh Hassani's 15-year rule. The Awami League has been barred from contesting as protesters choose a new government and participate in a constitutional referendum under an interim administration led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus. The election follows months of unrest and a deadly crackdown that reshaped the country's political landscape and triggered international concern. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has inaugurated the Nelson Mandela Rules Training Academy for prison officials, marking the 36th anniversary of Nelson Mandela's release from prison. Zaraul Nasir has the rest of the story.
The academy was unveiled at the Dreskenten Correctional Facility in the Western Cape, formerly Victor Verster Prison, the last place Nelson Mandela was held before regaining his freedom. President Ramaphosa described the launch as a powerful affirmation of Mandela's enduring values of dignity, justice, and human rights. The Nelson Mandela Rules Training Academy is the first institution of its kind in Africa dedicated solely to the United Nations Standard Minimum Rules for the treatment of prisoners, widely known as the Nelson Mandela Rules. According to the South African leader, the academy will equip correctional officials with the knowledge and skills required to uphold human prison standards. He added that it will also promote education, vocational training, and rehabilitation programs for inmates, preparing them for reintegration into society.
I'm told that this is the first such facility of its kind on the African continent. So it will serve as a knowledge hub for our region here, SADC, not only for our South African officials, but also for the global correctional community.
President Ramaphosa further noted that the initiative is being implemented in partnership with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, custodian of the Nelson Mandela rules, to ensure that correctional policies and practices remain firmly rooted in the values Madiba stood for. Zahra Unasir, reporting for Global TV.
And in sports, the Confederation of African Football has begun stadium and infrastructure inspections in Tanzania, Uganda and Kenya ahead of the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. Technical experts are assessing pitch quality, safety, security and training facilities as part of preparations for the first ever three-nation hosting of the tournament. CAF President Patrice Motsepe is also scheduled to visit the region as organizers intensify efforts to meet world-class hosting standards. The Nigeria Shooting Sports Federation has begun a strategic partnership drive with key security institutions in a bid to promote responsible gun ownership and strengthen arms control measures in the country. The President, Nigeria Shooting Sports Federation, Commodore Shetima Mohammed, led a high-level delegation of board members on courtesy visit to the Chief of Naval Staff and the Director General of the National Commission for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons in Abuja. Our correspondent tells us more. At the Naval Headquarters, the delegation met with the Chief of Naval Administration, Rear Admiral Jonathan Maman, who represented the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Idi Abbas. Commodore Shetima outlined the Federation's vision of enhancing marksmanship, promoting responsible firearms use, and creating structured opportunities for retired military weapons instructors as certified coaches, referees, and technical officials in shooting sports.
You know, shooting, like I always say, appears a bit alien to the general public. And if we want to make it common, we have to start with those whose natural habitat includes shooting. And that's the military and the paramilitary. And by the time we're able to bring them on board, we feel that it will cascade down to the open public.
The Nigerian Navy pledged support for mutually beneficial collaboration, including sponsorship of zonal and national shooting tournaments, as well as professional exchange of ideas.
So thank you for that. You're opening up new zones for our men, and even those that are good can go as far as representing the nation. There's this joke about Nigeria having so many water and rivers, and we have Ijos, but we never come up in Olympics.
The delegation later visited the National Commission for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons under the Office of the National Security Advisor. There, the NSSF president emphasized ongoing reforms within the Federation, including constitutional review and efforts to harmonize shooting and hunting activities under a unified regulatory framework.
We represent Nigeria in all shooting sports activities globally. We train Nigerians in shooting activities.
Responding, the Commission's Director General, retired Deputy Inspector General of Police, Johnson Kokumo, described the visit as timely. He reaffirmed the Commission's mandate to combat illicit arms proliferation in line with Nigeria's commitments under the ECOWAS Convention and pledged collaboration with the Federation.
We'll retrieve illicit arms intercepted by various arms-bearing agencies of government. We don't retrieve them for keeps. The ECOWAS Convention is very clear. Destruction of such illicit weapons.
The partnership drive comes amid renewed national conversations around arms control and public safety. And that's it on Meet the News. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. I am Anieti Patrick. Thank you for watching.